Guys, welcome to another Truth Bump. I hope you have followed the guidelines and gone back and listened to those first few Truth Bumps. I hope the one guided the guided meditation I did for you guys, the one breath, was profound for you, and that's there for you to experience it at any stage. So just remember that is your Truth Bump that's there, that's available for you to go back to. So I feel, I'm just feeling where we're at with all the Truth Bumps. There's been at least 26 Truth Bumps so far, and I've been reflecting on just changing the volume on the recording. So I've been reflecting on the Truth Bumps and where we're at right now, and I feel there's a transition point, if you like. I laugh because we just did the one breath and we focused on the transition point, but I feel like we're ready. Like there's been a platform laid. You guys have done the Limitless or the WTF program, same program. You've gone through all these Truth Bumps that has, been the foundation of the work. It's been a continuation of what you've experienced in the WTF or Limitless. And so I feel now it's time to, change gears. And my feeling around it is that if you like, the first part of what we've just completed is like the phase one of the work. Everything that I shared in the phase one had to do with the program, the foundation, and the WTF or Limitless. It's all stems and comes from there. And now I'd like to, it's not like what I'm about to go into, which I'm going to call phase two of the work. It's not like it's not going to stem from the WTF or Limitless. It is, but I'm just going to, what I'm looking for now is more tangible, everyday things, whether it's an everyday insight or it's maybe we reflect on a spiritual teaching, maybe we talk about different things that people have asked me questions about. Maybe it's about reincarnation. Well, how does reincarnation work in all this? And what about when things are meant to be? Is it really meant to be? Where's free will play into this? Although I think I did a Truth Bump on free will. So, but and that's the thing. We may actually go back and pick up some of the things that we have done and actually discuss it at a much deeper level, because that's where you're at right now. That's not what I'm intending to do, but sometimes that naturally will happen. Like I just spoke about free will. I'm sure I've done a free will module in there in Truth Bump. If I haven't, I will definitely do one. But there might be, I will re-listen to that and go, we're ready to take this to a deeper level. And of course, I mentioned that to you guys as you were doing the Truth Bumps. I said that, this particular topic I will revisit at a later stage. So this is the later stage. We have arrived at the phase two of the work. And, I'm going to be just... we might talk about finances. We might talk about relationships. So different things will show up. As you know, I can't tell you exactly what we're going to talk about because I don't know myself, because I'm showing up and feeling this and letting it unfold, and just I'm being open and honest with you right now and saying, okay, this is where we're at. We have completed phase one. That's the feeling I get. Now we're starting phase two. And there will be a phase three. And then maybe we'll be done. Maybe it's finished by then. But who knows? Let's see where it goes. So today I would like to talk about a topic, a statement that is quite often used, and people hear this all the time. And they use it in a way of trying to accept, what's happening. And but there is so much more power in this word and we loosely use it in order to accept, but the most people, their level or their ability to accept is not there. They're accepting the story, they're not accepting the idea of acceptance, which is the opposite of judgment, is in order for you to open up so you can experience the truth, right? So let's get into it, and I'll start laying it out, and I think you'll get what I'm saying. So the term that I'm referring to is, it is what it is. You've heard this before. You've probably said it. My question to you is, if you've said that term, and if you haven't, just in case you're like, what? I've never heard it is what it is. Well, people say that, I'll just quickly visit that. People say that when, something's happening in their story and they typically don't understand why it happened. And they're typically disappointed by it, right? And they'll say, it is what it is. It is what it is. And it's a level of acceptance. It's an immediate acceptance. However, you guys have done the work and you've gone and revisited the first, 4 or 5 truth bumps as I guided you to do. And if you've done that, you will understand acceptance is not accepting what is in the story. Acceptance is actually embracing how you feel about what's going on in the story. So I'm just re-highlighting that just in case you didn't go back and listen to those 4 or 5 truth bumps. But it is important for you to revisit those, because right now, if we go into this, if we dive into this, it is what it is. It is an immediate acceptance. It's an ability for someone just to accept and become open. However, most people, and I'll say most because, that's what I see, it might not be you, but most people, when they are, when they use the term, it is what it is, or maybe somebody said to you, it is what it is, you're accepting the story. You're like, yeah, it is what it is, and that's great. That's the first layer. You accept the story. It is what it is. It's the cards I got dealt. It's, but most people are referring to, or they'll say it is what it is when something didn't go the way they expected it to go. So key word there, expectation. So they'll say, oh, well, it is what it is, and they accept the story. However, if you haven't peeled the layer back further, as I talk about peeling the layer of the onion back and get to the core is how what's happening has made you feel. So by saying it is what it is, you're letting go of the story, but you're not letting go of how it made you feel. So you retain the feeling. And the idea is for you to be able to release the feeling also. The idea is for you to be able to drop into the truth. If you look at that term, it is what it is, and there's a full stop afterwards. It is what it is, period. And you look at other terms where we sounds familiar, sounds similar. If you look at, and maybe you've heard this before, we say love is, period. Right? The truth with a capital T, not the truth of the story. All right? I'm not talking about a conspiracy or anything like that. I'm talking about the truth, the real, the ultimate, the capital T truth is. So you may have heard that before. You may have experienced, you may have read that somewhere before. Love is. And the reason it's is and there's nothing after is because the moment you put anything after is besides a full stop or a period, that ain't it anymore. Love is. And the moment you say is beautiful, you've gone back into duality. Okay? So, well, if you go back into duality, but what do we know about that? Well, if everything there's two, if it's beautiful, it's also ugly. And that ain't it. Or if you experience love that has an opposite, the opposite is fear, or the opposite is hate, or, so that ain't the real love. That's a drop of the ocean. As Rumi says, we are not the drop in the ocean. We are the entire ocean in the drop. For the entire ocean to be in the drop, it's love is, and that can't be intellectual. But when you experience real love, you can't describe or you can't explain, and the only reason you want to describe or explain it is because you want to hold on to it and keep it. And the only reason you're thinking, well, what's wrong with holding on and keeping it? Nothing. But why would you want to hold on and keep something that's already yours? The moment you want to hold on to something and keep it, it implies it's not yours. That's the mindset you are framing the moment you're saying, and you're trying to hold on to it. You're trying to keep it. You're trying to, you want to describe it. You want to be able to articulate it. It's like you articulate it, you experience it for what it is in the moment. And, and it's yours. It is yours in the moment. And, and what happens is that your mind wants to keep that and goes, in the next moment, I want to recreate that. And you can never recreate it because it's timeless. If you're trying to recreate something, you're recreating something in time that happened in the past, and you're now trying to recreate it in this moment, and you want to continue to recreate it and duplicate it in the future. This is all time stuff. You can't do it. It doesn't work. So that, that term, I can't give you any more than that. Like, it's something, you may want to write down and reflect and ponder for yourself. What does it mean when we say the truth is, or the most beautiful one, love is? That's it. Nothing else after is. Now, if you're intellectually listening to what I'm saying, you're going, yeah, but is what? And that's as far as I can take you with that, right? So that's why I'm asking you to take that and sit with it and go, well, what love is? Ask yourself, love is. What is love is? And just see if you can open yourself up and feel and embrace love is. And I don't want to lose any of you right now. And if it's going over your head, then fine, it'll come back around at some point. All right, but right now, just leave that in your little homework, if you like. Just at some point, sit down and go, love is. What is? What is? What is love? Truth is. What is truth? What is truth? And ask yourself. And this is not an answer that's going to intellectually come to you. This is an answer that you will experience. And it's not something that you can share with anyone. Like, I'm struggling right now to share it with you. It's something that it's yours. It's something that has always been yours. It's something that's always been there. And it's up to you to actually drop into that and realize it. It's something that no one can take away from you. So why I went to, this statement of love is, or the truth is because when we say it is what it is, that's the real term. That's, this is what it is. And when our awareness is limited, or we still lack some consciousness, or we're on the journey, but it hasn't evolved yet. When we say it is what it is, we are implying that the story is what it is, which is only the first layer. Okay? It's like I've used this term before about the trees blowing, and we look at the trees blowing and we go, oh, look, the trees are moving and they're being blown. When we see the trees moving and we say, well, it is what it is, I hope this relates. When we say it is what it is, but the trees moving, it's like that's the same as accepting, the story by going, well, it is what it is. This is what's happening. The tree is moving, right? But to be able to take that layer back, peel it back, and actually drop into the truth, it's seeing or feeling or grasping that the tree is not moving. It is the wind that is moving the tree. So you're seeing the truth. You're feeling and experiencing the truth. You are grasping, you have an awareness of the truth. No, it's not the trees moving. It's the wind that is moving the trees. So to give you a reference point, so most people, when they say it is what it is, well, they're accepting that the trees move. But if you actually, if you use that term to actually drop into the truth, with not just accept the story, and you drop into the truth, you won't just see the trees moving. You will see or experience or have an awareness, a direct experience of this awareness that the wind is moving the trees. That's different to understanding that the trees are moving. What's the difference? Well, the difference is that when you are seeing the trees moving, you are accepting the story. This is what you go, it is what it is. And like I said, mostly people will say it is what it is when something has gone against their expectations. So they had an expectation for something to happen, and then it didn't happen. So they feel like a loss, a discomfort, a setback, right? And then they go, it is what it is. And although they're accepting the story, they're still feeling the setback. They're happy to move forward, and that's why it's saying that it is what it is still powerful. They're happy to move forward, but they're moving forward by holding on to the setback. So what's the challenge, or what's the problem with that? Is that when you're holding on to the setback, which is basically the emotion, or the emotion that you have around the setback, you're likely to take up space. The setbacks takes up space, and what do we know? Space is power, so it's taking up power. And also you're likely to recreate another setback. Okay? So when you say it is what it is, yes, accept the story, but see if you can stop for a moment and see the truth. See the perfection. I say see the perfection, and I like, mostly what I hear these days is, oh, well, we can't be perfect. The world is not perfect. We are not perfect. And I really want to do a truth bump about this, and maybe it's dropping in right now. Well, it is perfect. You're just not seeing the perfection. And you are perfect. You're just not seeing the perfection. And what I mean by that is you're only seeing the trees move. And your understanding or awareness is the trees are moving. But the trees are not moving. It's the wind that is moving the tree. So what I'm trying to say to you is that if you can grasp what I'm saying here, you understand that everything is perfect and you are perfect just the way you are. Because if you weren't meant to be the way you are, you wouldn't be. Like, I don't know, like if you can swallow that pill, put that in your pipe and smoke it, whatever you want to call it, like go and sit with that. It will free you. So we are not here to just accept and go, oh, well, I'm not perfect or nobody is perfect. And like every time someone says that, it's like, no, you are. You are perfect because it is what it is. And if you really grasp it is what it is, there's perfection there. And the perfection is that you wouldn't have had that setback. You wouldn't have had that loss. If that wasn't meant to be, it would have never been. So the fact that it has, what's the word I can put? The fact that it has happened, the fact that you are that way right now in this moment, that you're experiencing yourself as the version of yourself right now in this moment is perfect. That is perfect. And when you grasp that, you understand there is no mistakes. There is no right or wrong. That's why, again, you read in different spiritual texts. You know, I'm sure you've heard that. There is no right and wrong. Well, of course there's no right and wrong in oneness. It's only one energy. Well, we know that. There's no right or wrong. And all I'm saying is that everything that you're experiencing through duality, the trees aren't moving by themselves. It's the wind. It's the energy of oneness. It's the one energy moving. The drops don't have any power. The drop cannot move the ocean. But the ocean is moving the drops. And when that drops in, you are experiencing that term for what it is intended or where it is intended to take you. When you say it is what it is. You know, and if you truly grasp that term of it is what it is, you wouldn't only say it when things are where you're disappointed or things went against your expectations. You would say it all the time. When you have a win. When you have a gain, you'll say, it is what it is. Right there, you're not putting power into the win, into the gain. It's the same. But most people will only say it when they've had a loss, when they've had a disappointment, when something has gone against their expectation. But it is what it is. It's the same. When, you know, sometimes people go, you know, I just ran a live Limitless event in Sydney just this weekend that just went past a few days ago. And I'm off to the US next week to run the same event next week. And often, you know, sometimes I'm running a retreat maybe. And people say, oh, are you excited? And I'm like, no. Like, to be honest, I'm not. At the beginning, I used to go, yeah, because I just wanted to kind of fit in, like that, you know, fit into the conversation someone was having with me. Then I was like, I don't need to fit into this conversation. What's the truth? I'm not excited. And, you know, I almost wanted to say I'm excited to not disappoint them. So when people say, are you excited about your retreat or are you excited? I mean, I haven't spoken this event, like coming back and speaking on this for 10 years. 10 years ago, that was my job. That was my role. I was a coach, I was a speaker, and I was speaking in a different city every weekend. That was 10 years ago. So you'd think I would be excited, but I'm not. Now, you might think to yourself, well, why not? Because it is what it is. It's exactly the same. It is what it is. And that feels like openness. There's no expectation, and it's just complete, and like it feels like you're in an open field. It's just, it's not, it's not a positive or a negative emotion. It's where the emotion or the energy is equilibrated. It's one. But I can't explain that to someone. I'm not excited. Well, they're like, well, are you upset? Are you disappointed? I mean, what's the opposite of excitement? It's like, it's neither of those. I look forward to it, but I don't go there. At one of my, at the event I had in Sydney, I was speaking to one of my staff, and in my Sydney event, I actually didn't have any of my team from my coaching business. Most of them are in the US. So when I do the event in the US, they will be there to assist me and participate in the event, which is great. But for my Sydney event, I actually got some of my team from my other business, my aviation business. And I said, guys, I'm running this event. I don't have a team. Can you guys, and I hired, I gave them a job for 3 of them, and all 3 came. And anyway, I'm walking to the event, and one of my team, her name's Gloria, and she says, we bumped into each other in the car park, and we're walking, and she goes, oh, well, when's the last time you did one of these? I go, well, really, the last time I really did one of these, like as a role, as a job, like it's not a one-off. It's, 10 years ago. It was 2013, and we're now in 2023. And she goes, oh, wow, like you must be nervous. Are you nervous? Because you haven't done it for 10 years. And I honestly say, no, I'm not. Do you know why I'm not? Because it is what it is. And that term, it is what it is, that the fact that I'm doing an event, it is what it is, doesn't take me into the future. So I'm always in the present. The week, the week before the event, oh, the event's coming up, it's next week. Oh, the night before, oh, it's tomorrow. Right? I mean, do I get prepared? Yes, I get prepared, and but I'm always in a state of it is what it is. It's where your energy is equilibrated. You're not giving power to anything, and you're not going to the future or the past. Now, trust me, if I was going to the future and thinking about the event, I'm not talking about preparation. Preparation, you place your attention on, okay, I'm doing this event, and then you come back here and you prepare. Here, you're still in the moment. But if I went and started thinking about this event, and then, my expectations will start to grow. Well, maybe I could do this, or maybe I could do that, or maybe this is that's one thing. Then I could, if I went to the future there, I'm now putting power into it. And it's not, it is what it is anymore, right? And as I go to the future, I guarantee you I could get nervous. I mean, this is something I haven't done for 10 years, right? But I don't, because every time I would have the opportunity to go to the future, I'm in a state of it is what it is. I don't need to. So I decline any invitation to go into the future. I just kept staying in the moment. And of course, I don't get nervous, and I show up and I start. And then you're off. This current, what I'm talking about, this very event is currently on the Limitless app. I mean, by the time you watch this, there might be another version. I'm not sure, but currently it's there. So you can see, good morning and hey guys, welcome. And we're off. That's it is what it is. So what it's not is, you're halfway there when you say it is what it is and you're accepting the story and you're like, you can move forward now. Because you go, it is what it is, and you move forward. But remember, you're moving forward with the very emotion, with the very, and that emotion hasn't been released. It hasn't been completed. You then move on with that. And I use the word disappointment. It could be whatever. It could be rejection. It could be failure. You might fail or something and go, oh, it is what it is. And you move forward. And, that's right there is you're halfway there. Okay. You need to peel the layer. Yes, you accept the story and go, it is what it is, but you need to feel the truth. And when you feel the truth, you understand that it's perfect. And when I say you understand that, it's not like you understand why this happened or why it's happening, or but you've experienced that perfection. You have an awareness of that perfection, and you understand that, and your awareness is that it wouldn't have happened if this failure or rejection or whatever it is, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't meant to have happened. So, and that becomes more than a trust. That becomes a knowing. Like it's when something happens over and over again, and you see the perfection. And sometimes you don't actually, often we don't see the perfection of the story. You can feel the perfection, and you go, it drops in, and you grasp, and you go, it's perfect. It's perfect the way it is, and you don't need to understand why it's perfect, but you can feel it's perfect. But sometimes it's later on as you have progressed in the story, you then reflect back and go, wow, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be who I am today. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Who I'm at, where I'm at. Right? And often people say, I would have never changed a thing. Why? What do they say? They went through so much struggle, potentially, rejection, failure, discomfort of some sort. And then a year later or months later or whatever it is, they reflect back and they go, it was perfect. It's like they go, I couldn't have written the script any better. And I wouldn't have changed a thing. I would go through all that again in order for me to be who I am today, in order for me to be where I'm at today. Why do they say that? Why have you said that before? Because you saw the perfection. You see, it's perfect. And all I'm saying to you is that the statement, the term, it is what it is, what it truly implies, or what it's truly designed, where that reference point or where those words are pointing at is for you to feel the perfection of what is. And it's not in the story, because in that moment you can't see the perfection of the story. So you are accepting the story, first layer, first stage, great. But once you accept the story, sit with it and feel the perfection and understand, get your mind around if it wasn't meant to be, it wouldn't be. And you can't, I'm inviting you to bring your mind and wrap your mind around it. But ultimately, when you drop in, it's like the drop falls into an ocean. Once it falls into the ocean, it becomes the ocean. There comes a point where you just feel that perfection. And that right there is when you've released any emotion. Like that right there has actually, it's a transition point to you becoming a greater version of yourself. We've been saying all along that everything is happening for us. And even grasping that assists you in feeling the perfection. But understand that this whole thing is, remember, I've always said everything's happening for us. When I say why, in order for what? In order for you to become the greater version of yourself. So things, your circumstances, your story, life is happening for you in order for you to become a greater version of yourself. But when you say it is what it is, and maybe you have a different term, it doesn't matter. When you accept the story, it helps you move forward, but you haven't entered the transition point. You haven't actually become a greater version of yourself. You will only become a greater version of yourself when you see the perfection. And all I'm saying to you is that you have the ability to see or feel and experience the perfection in the moment that you say it is what it is, or close to that moment. Not 1 year later, not 2 years later, not 6 months later, when you've reflected back and gone, I wouldn't have changed a thing. You don't need to wait that long. So, my friends, as we drop into this phase 2 of this journey and my conversation will start to get a little bit more deeper with you. The first one is this statement that you always say, and if you haven't been, you probably will now. And you'll say it is what it is. Next time you say it is what it is, or someone says it is what it is, you need to go, yeah, but I want to feel the wind moving the trees. I want to feel the perfection. It's meant to be. That's a term that you often say. It's meant to be, which is what I will share with you guys in our next Truth Bump. I want to talk to you about this term, it's meant to be. So today's term was, it is what it is. So our next Truth Bump will be, it's meant to be. So this is where we're at. It is what it is. See you guys on the next Truth Bump.